Here we go.
There you go. Hello and welcome to Onesies, a podcast of onesies and wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew,
My name is Emily.
and we are back discussing 2001's WB sitcom Raising Dad, starring Robert Kennedy Saget, Kat Dennings, Academy Award winner Brie Larson, not Academy Award winner Kat Dennings. Though, hey, you fire enough of her co-stars and she turns into the best teen actor really quick. And Jerry Adler is the dad, of course, co-starring occasionally Andy Kindler, and they fired the black girl. So, but they're going to
She comes
pretend
back, I swear.
bullshit. I don't believe you anymore.
Okay.
We'll
She
see.
was in the IMDb, I swear.
IMDb is wrong though because
Okay.
they don't have the complete cast listings. We don't know who the awful slut girl is. Like who I don't
Fair
think
enough.
got a name in her first episode. She just is
I
the
don't
replacement. It's
Yeah,
Olivia. They've
it's
established it's
Olivia.
Olivia in the second one, but so we are
So we're
talking about
watching episodes 3 and 4 of Raising Dad. Episode 3 is Baby, You Can't Drive My Car, an entire episode about teaching a 15-year-old with a learner's permit how to drive and the wacky things that are go along with that.
I mean, toxic masculinity and patriarchal patronizing, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what we
wacky.
could call them.
Wacky. Wacky. Woo.
And then mature audiences only will involve
I
slut
was so
shaming,
a
slut
lot of slut shaming.
encouraging, and then lots of delightful Brie Larson, but also just like I feel like, and obviously they wouldn't have had this in 2001, but I really feel like some of the shit they're putting Brie Larson through, I feel like she should have had an on-set therapist who's like, this is actually not real. We are doing this to promote patriarchy through media. You don't actually have to internalize these messages.
I was really worried in that second episode about things. But let's go back to
The
Baby You Can't
first,
Drive My Car. Yeah.
arguably the
And
better of the two episodes, despite the co-stars being. So we discussed how we've had some changes. So we had some changes between the pilot and the first regular episode, but now we've had some more changes. Redesigned, um, we've moved and redesigned Bob Saget's classroom. Bob Saget
Mhm.
is a creative writing professor who now has a cool teacher. Okay, we will talk about what a fucking loser he is in the second episode. Okay,
Okay.
like I will unleash the full experience of an MFA to discuss the idea of amateur writers getting together to heckle one another and whether or not that leads to great literature.
But also, like, the only scene we get of him in his classroom in this episode,
Yes.
he's talking about Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He quotes Gabriel Garcia Marquez and then doesn't speak Spanish. So I don't understand what the point of that is, except to make light of the Spanish literature, or so that kid can make a joke about not wanting to learn Spanish. I don't know. Like, I don't understand the
Okay,
point
I know
of.
you like Bob Saget, but do you think he's read 100 years of he read 100 years of solitude before his passing?
I have not read 100 Years of Solitude,
Oh,
so
you
I
are not a
can't
creative,
judge.
you are not a fake creative writing teacher either. So,
Fair enough.
it was a little weird. Also, the I we no, we don't want to get in the weeds on the bad details of this television show because there are
Yeah,
many.
yeah.
But what we are going to establish very quickly in the second episode, in the first episode, starting with the cold open, is that Kat Dennings has her permit and
Yes.
she wants Dad to teach her to drive. Dad is going
Yes.
to take pictures of her driving, but not really driving, while they are being heckled by a new character, the
A chain
smoking.
smoking neighbor. Yeah.
Yes.
She will come back into play. I don't know if she comes back in other future episodes. Did not investigate that. She looks familiar, the woman who
This
plays
looks
her.
very familiar. We were discussing, I think, pre-show. I don't know if I shamed Emily for encouraging me to pick a show where they apparently fired the only black cast members to whiten things up. I mean, tracks, sorry to say, but tracks. But we discovered that the IMDb is incomplete and there doesn't seem to be a very it's strange that the Raising Dad show Bible and uh episode metadata hasn't been better preserved. I'm very
Yeah.
shocked by this omission. If only we knew someone at the UCLA library who might be able to dig deep into the archives and see what kind of information we could glean. But yes, so we have chain smoking lady who has to chain smoke at her window and heckle the Stewart family. Is that their name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which is very interesting because we've had the Stewarts coded as slightly Jewish, but we're also going to code them as Italian. It's very
And
interesting.
Stewart is an Irish name. It's spelled
It's
the Irish way.
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
it's whatever you need in the moment is what we're
Yeah.
doing here. But then the dad doesn't let her Bob Saget doesn't let her drive. She's upset at dad. He gets in, starts lecturing her about setting the fans right. Oh God, what episode does he do the black voice? Is that the second
The next
episode?
one. That's the
Oh,
next
good,
one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good, good.
Yeah.
I hope he was
Yeah.
still
Don't
doing that
worry.
on Fuller House. Um, I also it did give me some like late '80s vibes that clearly continued. Not late
We'll
'80s, I'm
talk
sorry,
about that the
'90s.
next episode.
Okay, fine. You don't want me to talk about it now because you're working on
Right.
your accent. Okay. So we come back and they're coming into the house and
She's
dad
disappointed because she's expecting a full on, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to drive around the block or drive to the convenience store, the grocery store, whatever. And dad is only letting her sit in the seat, buckle the seat belt, and hold the keys. Keys do not even go in the ignition. It is very clear from this moment on that he is, and I think he says it, I don't know if it's in this scene or later, like he does not want, he wants to take it slowly. He wants to teach her very well. He wants to give her like a lesson a day. So, like, making right hand turns, parallel parking. Like, he is taking this very, very slowly. Going into the kitchen, we also discover either in the kitchen or later in the living room that he is a bad driver
like criminally bad.
and
Like,
he runs red lights that he insists are yellow. We all know somebody who does this.
oh, do
We've all
we?
known we've all known somebody to do this. And they talk about the new technology in their town of, cameras at lights. Um, and he has gotten a ticket. This is another funny Brie Larson. Great. She laughs at her dad for having gotten a speeding ticket one time, and he talks about having gone to fight that ticket, and he lost. So
Lost.
we're establishing that dad is a bad driver.
Yes.
In this, is this the same scene where we learn about Brie Larson's storyline?
Yes. So Brie Larson's storyline is she's got a school project for making a simple machine. Now, the way it's presented is this a simple machine is a tool that helps with a task. We never find out what her very elaborate Rube Goldberg machine actually does, which I was disappointed by because I thought they had a punchline for that, but they don't. But it will tie into the other plots. So we have it's very like we're only on the third episode, and we can discuss it with the fourth, but we're de-emphasizing Bob Saget as a teacher quite a bit. Like we
Yeah.
are retaining him being present whenever Kat Dennings needs him for a scene by being at the school, but like he has a his subplot that takes place at the school and involves one of his fellow teachers does not need to take place at the school. It is irrelevant to all of it. So it's also irrelevant to the driving thing, which is weird since the driving thing will keep popping up. Like, so do we have her talking to the teen to her friends then?
So, no, yes, maybe. I feel like she's in class. She's talking to her friends about how, oh, yeah, it's after that first scene where she gets the
Yeah.
driver's lesson. I think before we even cut to him doing his Gabriel Garcia Marquez thing, um, she's talking to her friends and they are relying on her to get her license because she's, I guess, the oldest, even though the other new friend who we established in the next episode, her name is Olivia, also already gotten lessons on driving. Maybe she's not 16 yet. It doesn't matter. For this scene, all of her friends are putting pressure on her to find a way to take driving lessons apart from her father because he's going too slowly. Now it doesn't really matter because that she has to wait till she turns 16 anyway, right? Like it's not like if you get your driving
Is this the
lessons, you can get
scene
your ID
where
early.
Olivia establishes she doesn't need to worry about this because she's a 15-year-old girl who's having sex with older men who drive her around?
Yeah.
To which the
Well,
crew
but no,
cut.
they don't say that. They don't say that. She says that she found an older man to teach her to drive. Now that could be,
I believe the crew cut friend makes a slut shaming comment about her at that point.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Is and
Josh, maybe. That might be
Josh
his name.
maybe.
Yeah.
And then there's like this slightly like maybe homophobic thing where Josh is like, "We're relying on you. What about, driving to the lake or driving to the ocean to the beach in the summer and going ice dancing?" And they all make fun of him for
Yes, they do.
accidentally saying ice dancing instead of ice fishing. So
Yeah.
that was a little, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Um, so we're also going to get more scenes with the dumb kid. I mean, Josh is not smart by any means, but dumb kid is super dumb,
Yeah.
and it's obnoxious and it's bad jokes. Like it's weird. Um, I mean, I get it. I don't really care for teenagers either, but I don't have a show where I just make fun of them.
Yeah.
We could do that, but Emily said no. Okay, so I thought I was funny. Okay. Anyway, what happens next? So then we're
Do
gonna
we cut to the classroom? Because there's the Andy Kindler moment
yes. So then
that's also a plot point, kind of, for no reason,
yes.
except
So
to establish
after
in the moment what a bad driver he is, I guess.
yes. And that's I mean, so it's a very again, Bob Saget's lack of acting does not help this at all, but
Yeah.
what we're going to do is we're going to have Bob Saget be bossy about the driving lessons, and then we are going to slowly, then rapidly establish all these anecdotes of entirely illegal or incompetent driving things he does and thinks are totally fine,
Yeah.
completely invalidating this, and he will have the opportunity to learn and grow, but because Bob Saget can't act, he will never learn and grow.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Or
so
that
that's
maybe that's
cute.
just the way it was written. But
Okay.
so he's teaching in his classroom. He quotes Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which I don't know if they read it like as an like I don't know. I don't know how an MFA works. I don't know how writing classes work. Do you read? I know that you read and that helps you write. But why would he be reading that with teenagers? Why would he be quoting it in Spanish?
To the teenagers who have no familiarity with the book in English, it's stupid,
It's
is
very weird.
why.
Anyway,
That's one word for it.
it's an excuse for people to again, the dumb kid to make jokes about not understanding things. Oh yeah. It's the, like,
We don't have to learn Spanish, do we?
yeah, how long did he learn? Like, it was something like Bob Saget said, "Oh, I don't know what it says either. I don't speak Spanish." He's like, "Oh, how many years of Spanish did that guy take?" And Bob
Oh,
Saget
about
says
70.
70,
Oh,
because he's a Spanish speaking person, or he was. Um, anyway, really stupid joke, but it's an excuse for Andy Kindler to have a grand entrance. Class is dismissed. Kids are filing out of the class in a disorderly way, and Andy is trying to make his way into the class. I forget what the teacher's name is. Do they even say Mr. So and so? I don't even
I don't
know.
think so.
I don't even think so. We're just going to call him Andy. Andy makes his way in and asks for a favor. He is having laser eye surgery. That was a big thing. Probably still is. I remember that being a big thing. My mom got it done in the 2000s.
Did
Um,
she get it done on both her eyes? Because that's,
yes, she got it done on both
yeah,
her eyes. Yeah.
ain't in that
Whatever.
everybody. Oh, okay,
Whatever.
whatever.
You know what? It's a stupid sitcom.
Wow,
Um,
okay.
he asks Matt, Mr. Bob Saget, for a ride back from the eye surgery. There's some jokes exchanged about, I don't know, whatever. And why does he need the eye surgery? His wife finds him very devastatingly attractive without glasses. So he is getting this eye surgery in order to maintain that attraction for his wife. The female gaze.
Hmm. Andy Kindler has been objectified quite a bit by the females, including some on this podcast. So I
Me?
assume, I don't know. Um, but yes, so we
No.
have it's
So so they I talked briefly last week about a homosexual panic. I don't even think it was that. I think I'm just kind of tying that into what he
yeah,
does with Josh on Thought Spiral, a lot, which is very strange. But there is a moment where Kindler takes off his glasses and stares up at Bob Saget, very, very close to prove that he has this magnetic sexual energy when he takes his glasses off. And Bob Saget says something like, I've never been more attracted to a man before, or I've never had these feelings for a man before. And Kindler does his like, get fine, and walks away. Hilarious.
mhm.
Hilarious. I don't even think it's problematic.
Nope, that was pretty funny.
It was
Shame
funny.
it's one of the heights of the episode.
And it's a
So
shame that there's only one other scene with Kindler and it's not nearly as good.
no. So we're then gonna probably go home where we're gonna check in on Brie Larson. Grandpa's helping Brie Larson with the simple machine a little, but then Grandpa tells Kat Dennings that he will help her learn to drive, but they have to keep
Yeah,
it secret from Bob Saget because Bob Saget did Bob Saget ever have kids?
I don't think so.
Okay.
His
Um,
wife, when he died, was not significantly younger, but was younger. Oh, no, he does have kids. He has
okay.
at least two.
Okay. All right. Um,
Uh, three women, three young ladies.
okay. I thought you meant he had two kids with three different women.
No.
Um, okay. So we're gonna get some scenes of them like sneaking in the morning. Oh, that's what it is. Actually, we are out of order somehow because they get caught because Saget has to go get Andy Kindler in the morning before work, not after work, because he's got plans. So Andy's just
Yeah.
like, well, I'll just change the appointment because that's how sitcom universes work. We can just,
You know what? I didn't
what?
even put that together that that's why he caught him.
Yep,
I'm dumb.
cause and effect. So it's called good writing, Emily. Maybe we'll workshop with Pinky or whatever that guy's name is in the next one. Okay. Zoom is blocking your sneezes, but damn if it's not funny watching them.
I was
Okay.
muted.
Okay. Still funny. Um, so yeah, so Grandpa has taken Kat Dennings for driving. He's like, "You're great. I don't know why your dad's being a punk about this. Like, you're doing a great job, sweetie. Like, thank you for being so attentive and all that. She's like, oh, thanks, Grandpa. But then the next day, Bob Saget catches them, and he's so sad.
He's so
His,
sad. He can't do his patriarchal duty,
this is
teach his daughter how to drive very slowly and only
this is
at
one
his
of the
own
reasons.
pace.
Yes, one of the reasons he became a dad. He gets to see her first steps. He gets to teach her to drive, and he gets to pistol whip her boyfriends.
Yeah, that was cool.
So there's another Kindler bit post eye surgery, but he's only had the surgery on one eye, which is not a plot point, which is very weird. Like, I don't get what the point of it was. But then she has another scene with her friends, and at like some point I was like, oh, Meagan Good's gone.
Yeah,
They
because she's
fired
not
Meagan
even in the
Good because she's
mix.
black. Yeah. And they hired this terrible white girl instead. So who they liked so much they didn't name her the first episode or whatever.
She reminds
So
me of somebody from the 90s who played a similar character, and I can't think of her name.
it is a sitcom archetype, the sort
Yeah,
of too fast, too worldly friend who's gonna,
yeah.
except we'll establish next episode that Kat Dennings at 15 is implying the promise of sexual favors to whatever interested man she can find, which seems problematic, but it's actually not, according to the show. Um, the show is basically like a training for incels. Thank you so much for convincing me to be the one to select it. Thank you
You're welcome.
so
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
You were like taking it to extreme, going to extremes. That's bad. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, so there's some scene with the friends. It's probably terrible. The
I don't even
Olivia's
remember it. Yeah.
bad. Josh is like, they could do a very special episode where Josh gets shot in a gun handling accident, and I would not give a shit. That kid sucks. All of
He
his
does.
friends suck too, and seem to be pressuring him, but he is a shitty white boy.
Yes.
Okay, so we then get Kat Dennings begging Bob Saget to give her driving lessons, which
Begging. And it's this weird thing where they're treating it, I understand, for comedy, like she's been cheating on her
yes,
father with
yes,
her grandfather.
yes,
And it's so icky. It gave me such an ick in the moment that when I watched it again this morning, I was like, ugh, ugh. I
it
haven't
goes
felt
on
this bad in a long time.
forever.
It goes
It's
on
never funny.
forever. It's not funny. The only time it's funny, and I think it's because it was so icky, is that dumb kid comes in at the end. The class is coming into the classroom, and the dumb kid comes in and overhears Bob Saget say, "All right, I'll meet you in the parking lot this afternoon." And is like, "Cool, a fight in the parking lot." I actually laughed out loud at that.
Yeah,
I think just out of
as a
discomfort.
relief. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just like
yeah,
it was a Steam release. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but that doesn't really go anywhere. They have another
No,
driving lesson. Oh no, it does go someplace. They have another driving lesson and she storms off on him. We get some wonderful composite driving shots, which I impressed me for the budget of this show. We also haven't talked about how we've established the living room. That's a big difference.
hmm
The school, Bob Saget's classroom is now the sex ed classroom, which it was not last episode because he didn't actually have a classroom last episode. So we're
right.
like making some changes um, to the production design. But we are also getting this composite shot of them driving, which looks like a Toonces SNL bit. Like, it's just cool. You've got fucking matting technology from 1988 that you're using in 2001. Go WB.
Right.
Go Paramount, actually. The whitewashing seems on point for Paramount in some ways, but it's still like, so some of my saltiness, I guess, would be that historically speaking, the fourth network, what became the CW, UPN, and the WB, basically built up a quote unquote urban stable of shows.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
they got popular enough, they fired all the black people and just whitewashed everything. Like they're a little bit more diverse, not anymore because they've been taken over by fascists, racists, but they built their whole thing on like Everybody Hates Chris and other shows aimed at non-white audiences. And then once they
Yeah.
had legitimacy, they canceled all those shows and went as honky as they could. Asterisk. Not really. I mean, like the superhero shows had a delightful mix of people, including genders and sexualities, and then that's what they've gotten rid of since. But some of the saltiness of this year is this did not work for WB. What worked for WB and UPN did not succeed by doing white bread shows. They succeeded by eventually having people of color, and then
Right.
they fired all those people. Okay,
Yeah.
so that aside, which will not go away, everyone. I'm just telling you what it is for when we talk about it. Oh, pretty soon too, because Emily's going to do an impression for us. It's totally okay. So they get in a fight in the car because he's needling her about doing things wrong, and she's just like, "Dude, what the
Oh
hell are you
yeah.
talking about?" And he's like,
Yeah.
hold to the right, hold to the right. And she's like, you want me to drive on the curb? He's like, look out for that kid. And she's like, what kid? And he's like, on the sidewalk. And she stops the car and walks away and leaves him sitting there without the keys. And it's just kind of like, this
That
show
was
isn't
kind of
about,
cool,
yeah,
therapeutic,
this show
right?
isn't about raising dad. This show's about how Bob Saget sucks, which is what I told Emily I didn't want to watch. Like, because that's one of my sincerely held beliefs that Bob Saget characters, whether the person or not did, his characters suck. They are milk toast white men. And this is very much what and this guy's just a dick to his kids. We've actually lost all the like dead mom stuff these two episodes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're not leaning on I'm trying to do a good job because your mom's gone. He's just a goofy single dad who doesn't get it
And
with the kids.
grandpa's just seems to have be taking on the role of the other parent, right?
Yes.
He has those good relationships with the kids. Uh and the good chemistry, even with Kat
Yeah.
Dennings, like he's
And
got
Jerry
it.
Adler, Grandpa, still has. We talked last time about how like we were happy because we got into a point where at least it seemed like he and Bob Saget had a good rapport.
Yeah,
We aren't going to have any examples of that. They barely have any interaction. So
yeah.
what we're going to do now is Kat Dennings is going to get home. She's going to hear a message that says,
Two
"Grandpa."
messages.
Two
Two
messages.
messages. One from Grandpa. He had gone to a baseball game because remember he used to be a
Hmm.
baseball scout. And got invited out with the guys, some of the coaches, some of his old colleagues, and was going to be out late. Don't wait up. Second
And
message was Bob Saget for Grandpa. Emily, her name is Emily. I forgot about that. Emily left her the fulcrum. It's a red little piece. It should be in the living room somewhere. You need to bring it, or else the machine won't work. So Kat Dennings gets both of these messages and understands that she now has a duty to help her kid sister. Adorable, very nice, great gesture. So she finds the little fulcrum on the ground next to the coffee table. She goes outside and she leaves. Cut to the house again. There must have been a commercial break. And both Bob Saget and Jerry Adler are in the living room looking for the fulcrum. Jerry Adler has a good joke about not going to strip clubs in his hometown. That made me laugh. And notices that his car is gone. It had been there. He had gotten a ride, whatever. It is now gone. So they put it together that Kat Dennings had taken Grandpa's car. And they zoom back to the school where the girl is doing her simple machine demonstration, whatever.
what they don't seem to put together, at least isn't clear, is that Kat Dennings brought the fulcrum. They think they're going to tell what's her face they didn't find it and it's too late. She's already won first place.
Right.
Kat Dennings is there. We still don't find out what any of these machines do. We then get Bob Saget pulling Kat Dennings aside to berate her. He's like, you don't have a license. You have a permit. You need an adult in the car. Punchline, it's the chain smoking neighbor lady. Chain smoking neighbor lady earlier implied that her husband or someone in the house with her makes her go smoke at the window, which is why she
Yeah.
heckles Bob Saget all the time. Not the other reason you would heckle Bob Saget all the time. It's weird because she implies to Grandpa that she is DTF. Now, we'll come back to that
Could be
next episode.
both. Could be both. You do not know the nature of her relationship with her husband if she has one.
There you
Maybe
go.
it's open.
Maybe. Grandpa's not interested. So we get some sort of a cute enough ending where lessons have been learned. Bob Saget got his latest picture ticket in the mail, which,
The neighbor also says, Kat Dennings, Sarah, you are
oh,
a great
yeah.
driver. Yeah. Like she's a good driver. She doesn't hit my bushes like you do to the dad.
And
And
he's
he
like, I
makes
do
some
that
joke
on
about
purpose.
wanting to run her over. He pretends that she's under them or something like that.
Bob
Whatever.
Saget, you're never going to convince me that any of his characters weren't fucking Republicans, whether the man was or not. But like, this is TV for Republicans. That's what Emily makes us watch. Okay, moving on. Um, well, maybe not Fishing with John. Was that my pick or yours? Anyway, so I mean that's it. Bob Saget's like, I'm gonna fight the picture ticket, and everybody rolls their eyes at him, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And okay,
Next
so,
episode,
episode 4.
episode 4,
Do the
we
voice.
have I can't do a voice.
I'm gonna need the hand signs.
I can't do hand signs either. I'm currently unable to move my body. And I don't do things because men tell me to do them.
Okay, well there you
So,
go. Oh. So we open with Kat Dennings and Olivia
oh yeah, they're getting themselves all made up. Kat
to
Dennings
look
with her
older.
beautiful long hair,
Mm.
all curled, which I have feelings, but they're putting on lots of makeup. Um, they're trying to look older. In their conversation, you learn it's because they're going to watch a rated R movie. Now, they are 15 years old in the United States of America in 2002 and still today. You have to be 18 years old to go see a rated R movie.
17.
Um, 17 years old, sorry. And I thought my reading of this until you mentioned otherwise was that they were just trying to look older to be able to buy tickets.
It's so much
So
worse.
it is so much worse. They're looking at themselves in the mirror. They're talking about how hot they are. Like, oh God, we're so hot. Ugh. And they go downstairs to leave, and they already have a story. They're going to go see a movie, a wholesome kid detective movie for ages 6 to 60. And Bob Saget, B plot, is organizing a writers group, um, insists that Sarah take her little sister, 10 years old, with her to the movies. There's a little back and forth, and she ends up having to take her 10-year-old sister with her to the movies. Now, they talked about the movie that they're going to go see. It's a lot of kissing. Apparently, there's Freddie Prinze Jr.'s naked butt.
I believe it's called Love to Love or something like that. It's a very strange description. Now, in full transparency, I probably saw 40% of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s movies of this era.
Okay.
Until Scooby Doo, I had a friend who thought that he was funny. And so we saw a few of them. I don't quite remember them. I do know we saw the one with Shane West. Yes, Shane West. Saw the one with Julia Stiles. I don't know if we saw the one with James Franco. I don't know if there is one with James Franco. None of those were hot and steamy. Like, they make it sound like it's 9.5 weeks.
Yes, they
Like,
do. They really
they're
do.
they and because I mean Kat Dennings is 15 during the shooting of this, which makes it really fucking gross and probably explains why Kat Dennings is the way one assumes she is today, is that she was socialized in this environment. Um, there's going to be a long thing where they describe how they want to be kissed, like Freddie Prinze Jr. kisses his female co-star. And that is when Josh calls them sluts for kissing like that. We're going to get pin in that for something with Kat Dennings. Um, but we will then get.
But first, we
Wait,
first they're in the they're in the lobby of the theater. She meets her friends. Her 10-year-old sister is there. They try to get her to go to the movie, and the
Peter
10-year-old is
Rabbit or
like,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, the kid detective movie. And she's like, you're gonna send me a 10-year-old into a dark movie theater all by herself. I'll be on a milk carton in 2 hours. And Kat Dennings is like, no, no, you'll be okay. I forget how she convinces her sister that
He
to let
threatens
her
to tell
go.
dad.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She grabs the guy's phone and threatens to call her dad. That's right. So then Kat Dennings, all dolled up, walks up to the counter
Where
and
Matt
acknowledge.
Stone or Trey Parker, it appears.
Oh, is that who
I
it
don't
was?
think it is. I don't think
I
it
don't know.
is. But it is a dorky white
Yeah,
guy in
with
his
big
early 20s
with big
with
curly hair,
and
and they acknowledge him by name. So this is where it all fell apart for me because again, I was under the impression that they were getting dolled up to look older to
to buy the
be
tickets.
able to buy the tickets. But this guy knows that she's underage,
15.
acknowledges that,
Yep.
and says, I
Says
can't do this because my boss is right there. And she's like,
maybe someday I'll touch it. And he's like, okay.
yeah,
And he sells her 17 tickets. And she
14,
then
but
did
still a lot.
14.
Yeah.
She then distributes them to all of her friends, and they go into the movie,
And her
including the
10-year-old
little sister
sister.
and her
Yeah.
10-year-old sister. I think we might cut to the writers' party, where we are going to establish, is that Jonathan Katz or no?
No, it's Fred Stoller. That's Fred
Fred
Stoller.
Stoller. Okay.
Yeah.
So Fred Stoller is a dentist who writes erotic fiction about
Being a
supermodels
dentist.
wanting to hook
Yeah.
up with dentists. He has also invited someone to the writers group for Bob Saget because she's tall. There's someone
And she's got
else
a hot
there.
bod. I think he even says like she's got a hot bod or something along
He
those. A
does say
great
that, but we don't
figure. A
actually,
great figure.
we don't, despite the ways we will demean this woman, we will not actually do that. We will instead just have Bob Saget character assassinate her for being polite, um,
Yeah.
because he's a fucking piece of shit.
She
Um,
was touching him. I would not touch somebody I just met in that way. But maybe that's just my personality. I don't know.
you don't go to writers groups
I
in
don't go to
weird
writers
living rooms.
groups.
So
No.
this writers group is very interesting, quote unquote, because we have a bunch of background players who don't have lines. Um, we have someone who the pretentious guy who's at the writers group, who I could actually look up the actor's name because he's played by the guy who plays the assassin in The Package, starring Eugene Hackman and Thomas Lee Jones. But he is a very he looks like a stereotypical snobby white guy, and he will
Yeah.
be some of the comic relief
Some.
interjecting
Yeah.
negative remarks. um so grandpa will come in and offer fish. We invite the woman in. She's got a great figure, like Emily said, at length. We also have skipped that Saget did the voice when he was
Yes, we
sending the
did.
girls off to school. Did you want to talk about that? You said we were going to talk about it.
He does a voice. He's trying to seem hip. And it just happens to be using ebonics and making gestures with his hands to maybe duplicate things maybe he and his generation looked down on that his kids saw on MTV. How about that? And I'll say this.
He's a fucking
Super
racist, is
problematic.
what it is. Okay, it's
Super
fucking racist.
problematic.
Yeah,
Super problematic. At least they give him shit for it. At least they
they give him
say
shit for it.
you are not a young black man. Like that is not who you are. Kat Denning says that to him.
To which he disagrees and continues.
Yeah.
So
So at least they tried. They tried to stop it. Whatever. Anyway, back to the writing room. The pretentious guy is annoying. Fred Stoller is creepy, but has great delivery.
yeah,
Great comic delivery. But still just a little creepy. And the woman is seemingly being a little flirtatious. So it had been established that the dentist invited her to try to set her up with Bob Saget. And Bob Saget, before she comes in, is like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Again, does not mention my wife died X number of months ago.
right.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you putting me in this awkward position? But in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe he invited her saying, the host is single, newly single, and, da 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 da. So I'm wondering, again, it's not written in, it's never explained. If she comes in and she's acting like that, she's flirting with him because her understanding of the situation is that they are being set up in a way.
And she is a
And
commodity to be traded for the favors to please her dentist.
maybe he does good work. I don't know.
Okay.
I forget what else happens.
The kids come in. She touches his
after the
leg
movie.
and he freaks out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the kids come in, they talk about the movie really quick, and then
The movie they did not see.
Right.
And because it's a writer's group and there's one woman with lines, she asks them, oh, what was I love animation. What was the lesson of this movie? And they're like trying to come up with some bullshit answer that they can't really do. And finally, Emily puts it to rest. She's like, listen, I watched the movie. I didn't write the movie. And that's sort of how they worm their way out of that conversation.
And then they go upstairs. And so we found out in the previous episode, though we didn't really explore it, Kat Dennings' room is somehow off of the kitchen. We will discover in this episode that's because she lives in the basement.
In the basement, which if you remember in the second episode, they were sharing a bedroom.
And in the first episode, they had their own bedrooms in their shitty apartment.
Yes. Very weird.
Okay.
Very weird continuity.
So we are going to cut to Kat Dennings on the phone, presumably with Olivia, talking about how she wants to be kissed like Freddie Prinze Jr. kissed. Maybe they're talking about his butt. I don't know if Freddie Prinze Jr. ever showed his butt in a movie.
I don't know either. I'm
okay.
not a fan. But she actually goes down into the basement to ask if she can use Sarah's bedroom to have a boyfriend come over, a friend that's a boy, to practice kissing the way Freddie Prinze Jr. did in the movie. And Kat Dennings' eyes get real big, and she has this realization that maybe she and her 10-year-old sister should not have gone to see this movie.
Yes.
So there's a conversation. She tries to course correct, like, no, you shouldn't. That's not something you should do. Why do you think you should do this? You're 10 years old. You've got plenty of time. And by the way, I've never even kissed a boy.
To which Brie Larson's like,
I'm not stupid.
Right. And it's not just that. It's that Brie Larson's like, well, you and Olivia talk about that's how you kiss boys. And she's like, I'll tell you a secret. I've never even kissed a boy. And Brie Larson like looks at the camera and is like, okay, sure, Jan. Like this show. Well, I mean, based on what this show could have been, it clearly could have been Grandpa and Brie Larson and would have been just fine when we get to the end, because turns out Gramps is a swinging dick. So, I mean, he's got moves. You watch that show, you think Bob Saget's got moves compared to that guy? Bob Saget ain't got no. Okay. No. I mean,
Jerry Adler is super charming.
There's a reason we believe Bob Saget was with criminal Lori Loughlin, because that's the type of person he would attract. Criminal Republicans.
He wasn't with Lori
on the show.
Loughlin.
Oh shit, that's right. He wasn't. That
It
was
was it was
Jesse.
John Stamos
Oh,
who was
whatever.
married to her. Okay.
Whatever. Sorry. They're
Okay.
all bad judgment. I mean, they were on Full House. Just bad judgment all around. Dave Collier. Let's talk about Dave Collier and 17-year-old Alanis Morissette.
We only
Get
have
in
8 minutes.
Okay, so, and actually it's going to be just fine because nothing fucking happens in the
Yeah,
rest of this
nothing
show.
happens. Yeah.
Bob Saget's going to
So
be, oh,
go ahead. Go. No, 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 you.
I was going to say, Bob Saget's going to be upset because the lady comes over to bring them a pie the next day or something, or a cake
Yes.
to thank them. And Jerry Adler's has been like, dude, you need to get back out. It is getting to the time that you might need to get back out there. And Bob Saget's like, I'm not ready yet. It's very weird because, like, in the first two episodes, we sort of established that this was a family that was, at the very least, forced to like grieve together. And now
Yeah.
we're entirely removing the daughters from that equation.
Yeah.
And we're turning it into, you know, comedy details, parts of jokes. Lady
Here's the
from
other
Game Night,
shame. Here's the other shame. The lady from Writing Night is
writing.
attractive, charming, hilarious. She's a good catch.
Yeah, and she's going to get the better guy. So we'll
Thoughtful,
talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
thoughtful. She's so great. And the fact that presumably we're never going to see her again
No,
is disappointing.
yes.
It's
She's in the graveyard with Meagan Good, Paget Brewster, and if only we could get somebody on the show for a recap interview and we could propose this theory that there's just a graveyard of the unwanted women in one of these characters' yards. Okay, and who that would be. So, because we're not
only
watching
one
Free
of them has a
Spirit.
yard. There's only one yard.
Okay, so we then are going to get Kat Dennings walking in on Brie Larson with the little kid as they are about to kiss, which includes.
Which, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, they cannot make these children do this. I was like, please don't. And then they stuck their tongues out and were like, just faces going towards each other. I was like, they're not going to do this. This is
They
too
don't do it.
ridiculous. Thank God. Thank God.
But what they do have is they have Kat Dennings catching her, and then so that entire scene with Kat Dennings and Brie Larson is narratively useless. Um, so then Kat Dennings has to go tell Dad what she did, and we'll have a wholesome learning moment there.
Yeah.
It's one of these times where Bob Saget's lack of affect certainly does not help the scene. The
Yeah.
fourth episode is really where I was kind of like, I mean, I'm not a Kat Dennings fan by any means, but it's shocking how much better she is than everybody they're putting her around at this point. Like, it
Yeah.
seems like they either did that on purpose or they agents were just like, stop, kid, you don't want to be on this WB show. You'll never get another fucking job. What do you think? You're going to win an Academy Award? Never. Uh,
Well,
so
go ahead. I was going to talk about the very last scene, which I thought was
I feel like
kind of
that's.
funny.
Are
Is
we
that where
about
we
there?
are?
I don't know that there's anything else. Do we have
Well,
a
so
scene? Well, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. We do have the scene with. Does Bob
with the
Saget
Grant.
talk? Oh, that wasn't the scene you want to talk about. You want? Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I'll do Grant. So we get a knock on the door. It's Lady from Writing
From the
Night,
writing club.
and Bob Saget's freaking out about it. He's like, "I'm going to tell her off. Like, this is unacceptable. She comes to my house and wants to do things and be nice to me. How dare she? Rude." And she's like, he answers the door, and Gramps is like, "Oh, that's for me. We're going to go out and get busy." And she's like, "What's up, Jerry Adler? I've got daddy issues." And he's like, "I'm a daddy." And off they go.
To
And
watch the movie that the girls had just been talking
that's
about.
right. Love to
It was
love. They're
very
going to
funny. We're
see.
going to go see Love to Love. I've heard great things. And he like, "Ugh." But before that scene, they're still in the living room. And Bob Saget is just listing off tween age movies. And
Yes, that's right.
Kat Dennings is saying is responding with the movie she actually went to see. And I thought that was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny. It was also somewhat enlightening because this is a show for people who think that not seeing Patch Adams is somehow bad for you. And I'm just going to go on the record and say that I'm not sure why anybody would watch a Robin Williams movie made after the year 1987, and I'm not really sure why anybody would watch very many made before that. I'm glad that he was a nice guy. I'm glad that he helped out with Christopher Reeve and all that, but not seeing Patch Adams is not a value judgment about a person, and they actually plot point it, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Um,
But I thought that was funny. I thought that was
it
funny.
was
And
once I realized what was going on, it was pretty funny.
yeah, yeah. And then Gramps goes off to have a date with the pretty lady, and presumably we'll never see her again. She'll be
No,
buried in the backyard.
yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's it for those two episodes. Uh, I'm desperate for that woman to come back, but I doubt she will. Gretchen German is her name. Uh,
She was on. She might have been like I don't know if she's recurring, but I feel like that name's familiar. I think she might have been on some other sitcoms. I don't know if she was ever a regular, but how did you?
so next, the next episode we'll be talking about, episode 5, is
Mm,
Fight for Your Right to Party.
mm,
Ooh, ah, eh,
why are you making those noises?
ah. Written
Why?
by,
Oh God.
written by, written by BJ Novak. Then episode 6 will always have Scrabble. We're back to a single credited writer, Chuck Sklar, who also co-wrote the previous episode. And there don't seem to be any guests of note on either episode. So, yeah, that's it. Andrew, thank you for
We're fucking
listening,
watching Miss Marvel next. All right. That's my
for
next pick
watching.
right now. Is Miss Marvel season
Well,
one.
yeah, except that this is your pick and my
Yeah,
pick is
I know, but
next.
I'm
And
telling you
then
right
it's
now,
okay.
in 6 months when we're finally through this.
Three, three, because we're doing 2 episodes at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much for watching these 2 episodes with me, Andrew. I know you loved it. I will see you in television land.
See you in television land, Emily.